Hey, Run Buddy. It's your friend Lisa. This past week was a whirlwind. I got to support the Love to Run 5K as well as go to Galentine's night at Swift Recovery. It was full of building community and making lots of new friends, and it just made my heart so full. I also had some pretty major thoughts during my 5-mile run on the treadmill at the gym, which, by the way, thanks, Coach Josh. And this week's episode is a reminder that every runner you encounter, we're all carrying something that you can't always see. Greetings and salutations, and welcome back to another episode of Behind the Bed. I'm your host, Lisa Watkins, and I am delighted to be here with you all today. And whether you're listening to me in the middle of the day or the middle of the night or the middle of the long run, I'm so delighted that you have chosen to spend a little bit of time with me. Today I'm catching you up on a lot of recent events, but I kept noticing the same kind of theme everywhere I went. Whether it was the Love to Run 5K, recovery nights, or even on the treadmill at the gym. I had this thought. I was on the treadmill at the gym and I was thinking, like I was doing my run, and where my treadmill is, or like where my gym is, there's like a second floor up there. And it's open down in the middle. And so you can kind of look down on, I don't really mean it like that, but you can observe all of the other folks that are like working out on the weights and machines down below. We really are all carrying something. And I'm not talking about just weighted vests, and no knock against people that walk in weighted vests. I've always wanted to do that, and I still want to do that. But we've all got something weighing on our hearts. And since we are in Heart Healthy Month, I thought I would do a little recap of the Love to Run 5K, of some of the connections I made at Swift Recovery, and then some of the observations that I had while I was doing the 5-mile treadmill run, because as you all know, I've got some big goals for running in 2026 and for this podcast in 2026. So if you're interested in all of those type things, stay tuned. And we're going to get into it in just a moment. So sit back, settle in, and let me weave you a tale of how we're all carrying something in the hopes that it would help lighten your heart as we continue our heart-healthy journey through February. So when I sat down to write this week's episode, I had been thinking about how to tie all of this week's events together. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized that we are all connected by the same idea. We've all got something sitting on our hearts. Let me tell you how I saw that in the Love to Run 5K and the Galentine's night at Swift Recovery, and just running by myself on the treadmill. First, let's chat about a little moment I had on the treadmill at the gym. Like I said, there's this upstairs portion of my gym where you can kind of observe all of the people that are downstairs on the machines and on the free weights and stuff like that. Now, for me, it takes a little over an hour for me to do 5 miles on the treadmill. Give or take, right? I take some walk breaks, I take it nice and easy, and I just kind of, do my thing. And I started looking around. So it meant like I had an hour to just look around and observe. And my mind started imagining all of the little stories. So I'm a storyteller, right? Of course, that's what I do here. That's what I do at work. I'm a storyteller. So I started thinking about all of the different stories of all of the different people that were down below or up above the upstairs with me. And the guy, there was a guy on the machine that kept adjusting his shirt. And I thought, I wonder if he's feeling self-conscious in his body, or if maybe he has just lost a bunch of weight. And a lot of times when people lose a bunch of weight, I know I have, I keep like billowing my shirt out, right? And this is a confession, so that you don't see my little chubby tummy, right? So he's doing that. There's a girl on the pre-core or the elliptical down there. And in my head, maybe she's rebuilding some self-confidence after life has really, kind of knocked you sideways. I think if you just live long enough, it will happen. Not if it will happen, but when it will happen. There was a group of teenage boys down there and they were kind of, shuffling. I can't describe exactly what they were doing, but they, how teenage boys, they're in this group and they're all still building themselves and figuring out who they are and what their characters are. And there was also this guy on the treadmill next to me, and he didn't just kind of get on the treadmill normally, but I quickly found out like why he was doing the kinds of things he was doing, because there was a really pretty girl on the treadmill next to him. And so he wanted to strike up a conversation and maybe wanted to be a little impressive, maybe wanted to look a little cool. But of course, I don't know any of this for sure. These are all just stories that I'm telling myself. I looked on again and there's clearly a mother and a daughter, right? As they're walking into the gym and they're taking like a little tour of the gym. And in my recent experience, I'm thinking maybe the mom is experiencing some symptoms of dementia or Alzheimer's. And with all of the research coming out now about how grip strength and strength training can help delay the onset of anything like that, but also like you're 20% less likely to develop dementia and Alzheimer's just by lifting weights, just by strength training, just by moving your body, right? And this is when it hit me. Everybody around me was so focused on themselves, right? We're all carrying something inside us. We're all carrying this story. We're all carrying something. Everyone. And I mean, every one of us is carrying something on our hearts. We are all struggling with something. And maybe one of the most powerful things we can do as runners is to give ourselves and to give others, especially, a little more grace, because everyone is carrying a load that you most of the time can't see. Then there was the Swift Recovery Galentine's night, which had a completely different energy, but the same kind of heart behind it. So first and foremost, Swift Recovery is a recovery center that's right beside Fleet Feet. Suzanne described it as the yin energy, the very calming, recovery, relaxing energy, to the yang energy of Fleet Feet, which is that high energy running store, hyped up kind of energy inside there. And I have to agree, it was very, very yin to the Fleet Feet yang. And so I went to Galentine's night and I did all kinds of recovery stuff. So I did the Vibe Out bed. I did the PMF, magnetic frequency chair, the cryotherapy, which thanks to Terry Porter from Fitness 300, because she was the one that was like, I'll do it if you do it. So thanks, Terry, for helping me be a better version of myself every day. Also did the sweat box and the recovery boots, and I did all of these things, right? It was like a whole night that you could do all of the different types of recoveries in there, however much that you could fit in for the day, right? So as we're sitting there and we're chatting, and I'm part of these discussions, I'm part of these conversations that women were having with each other. And even in that situation, like I saw it in the gym, like everybody has this insecurity, this weight on their heart, feelings of wanting to get better. We're all carrying something, right? And I saw the same thing at Swift Recovery, whether it's physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, we're all processing through something. We're all trying to heal from something. Galentine's night wasn't about how fast we could go. It was about how we could slow down. Galentine's night was full of laughter. It was full of quiet talks and doing something brave, again, like the cryotherapy with a new friend for the first time. Again, thanks, Terry, which if you haven't tried that, that's crazy cool. So the cryotherapy chamber down there, I've always been a little bit hesitant, but you get in and you kind of like you get in sans clothes or in the suit that God gave you, and you put on gloves and you put on like socks and these fuzzy slippers so to protect your little extremities. And then the liquid nitrogen starts to cool the therapy chamber down, and you do it for 3 minutes. And there's, I think, 3 different settings on like how intense the cryotherapy can go. But I did the one where it gets down to like minus 110 or something like that. And Suzanne actually did it for me. And it wasn't like, I was very nervous, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And it's actually not as bad as a cold plunge because the cryotherapy, you get like a little break in between. And so, you got down to like minus 80. And then you get like a few seconds break. And then you get down to minus 90 and you get a few seconds break. And then you get down to minus 110 and you get a few seconds break. And then by that time, the 3 minutes is over. And what happens when you get out? I don't know if it's it activates the parasympathetic nervous system or what, but your whole body just kind of goes, and it was incredible, y'all. But that wasn't the most incredible thing I did. The most incredible thing I did was actually the vibe out bed. I had an out of body experience on that thing. So the vibe out bed, you lay there and you put on these, like this weighted eye mask, you put on these headphones that are not only noise canceling, but they have a specific type of frequency music, not really music, but sounds going on. And then you have a weighted blanket on, and then you lay on this bed that's like ergonomically curved, right, to fit your body so that you're very comfortable. And then the bed has this specific frequency of vibrations that it goes through depending on what kind of program you've selected it, modality that you've selected it to go through. And honest to God, y'all, no lie, at some point I realized that I could no longer feel this 20-pound blanket on me. I felt like it was floating up off of me. There was this moment when I got almost like emotional. And Suzanne was explaining it afterwards that what it does, the vibe out bed, that whole specific frequency that was going on, it activates the parasympathetic nervous system as well. And so it helps, almost like brings up this release and it creates space for that release. It was wild. I had no idea that was going to happen, but it happened. And so I definitely want to go back and do that. I also want to go back and do the red light therapy because even my husband, who is a huge critic of all things, he is a non-believer of all non-believers, unless it has been peer retested and peer reviewed and non-conflated data with at least, a certain percentage or a certain number of tested people, he's just not going to believe it. He's like a statistics person. So he's like, nope, that wasn't a valid, whatever. Anyway. He did the research on the red light therapy, and I fully expected him to say, this is not a thing. But he sent me the studies and said, you know what? In terms of cell rejuvenation and skin and hair loss and hair, encouraging hair growth and things like that, the red light therapy has been proven. So I don't know. Maybe I can get him in there. All of that is to say that I had a fabulous time over there at Galentine's night. I did some therapies that I haven't done before, and I really did. I slept great after that evening, and I'm going to try to get him to go back with me because I think he can benefit as well, especially with all of the stress that he's been under lately with everything that we've been going through with his mom, my mother-in-law, right? So that was Galentine's night, and it was fantastic. And Galentine's night wasn't about how fast we could go, but how much we could slow down. Just like I was saying, the yin to the yang of the Fleet Feet energy. It's a place for recovery and just for giving ourselves the permission to slow down a little and maybe lighten that load that we've been carrying on our hearts, on our psyches, and in our bodies as we run and train for that next big goal. All right. And another thing I realized while I was there is those moments where runners come together, not just runners, I'm talking about people who love movement of all kinds. If you're a Spartan racer, if you're a CrossFitter, if you're a runner, a walker, a rucker, weighted vest walker, however you want to move your body, those moments where these people come together off course, like out of the things that we're doing, that part isn't a luxury. It's part of the process. And you have to build in that recovery time to not only lighten the load on your body, on your psyches, on your emotions, but on your heart as well, right? That's required. Finally, I'm so excited to tell you guys about this. The Love to Run 5K. Y'all, I don't know how to even start. I absolutely loved this run at the Love to Run 5K. Not just because I got a PR either, but because it was just so daggum sweet. And I know my friend over at Back of the Pack, Kyle, is a Scrooge McScroogey when it comes to Valentine's Day, but I love it. And I don't know, I've always loved it. I love to celebrate it with the kids, even when I was going through very bad times after my first marriage ended very poorly. And I still loved Valentine's Day because I think it's just a celebration, not of just the romantic partners that we have in our lives, but it's just a reminder to tell people that you love them every single day. Because by golly, out here walking around on this rock, you're not guaranteed one more, right? So don't let that moment, don't let that time slip by. You need to take the time to tell the people. And Valentine's Day for me is just a reminder of that. Tell the people that you love them. So this is where it all came together for me. Let me tell you a little bit about the race first, because I have listeners from all over. I went and pulled some of the statistics. It's crazy where people listen from. They listen from Great Britain and New Zealand and Belgium and Czech Republic. I don't even know who. That's insane to me. But thank you. Thank you for listening. So I thought I would recap this little race for you. The Love to Run 5K was the first time this race has been offered. It's a new one for Fleet Feet this year. And as part of my collaboration with Fleet Feet, I covered this race not only at the race, but leading up to the race. And I got a special discount code and could do all of the things, right? Not because I had to, but because I wanted to, and I picked this race. So I'm pretty proud of the fact that the race actually sold out in its first year. And next year, February 14th, is actually on a Sunday. So I'm hoping that we can at least do it for one more year and have the Valentine's Day race actually on Valentine's Day. So I met some incredible people at Packet Pickup, like Jada, who is running for cancer research, to Luke. Hey, shout out Luke and Larry, your whole family, your wonderful wife, and your adorable little sister who came over there and gave me a high five before my 5K. It was so wonderful, and I carried that little sweet energy through the whole 5K with me. So from Luke and his family to NASA Lee and your wife, which, by the way, we bonded over our mutual love of Eminem. I know, I understand how those two things, Valentine's Day and Eminem, don't really go together, but it works. It works in my heart. So there you go. So we bonded over Eminem's Lose Yourself. And then folks actually came in from all over for this race, from Nashville, from Florence, they decided to make a weekend out of it. And I met several couples that came in to do the race together. It was just fabulous, y'all. So that was Packet Pickup. Fleet Feet always does a great job at Packet Pickup. You go back, you get your packet, you get your sweatshirts, which, by the way, I'm wearing the sweatshirt. Super cute. So the sweatshirt is like a soft cream yellow color, and it says Love to Run. And then it says 5K and 1 mile, February 14th, 2026. And it's got 2 little cupids on it and a pink heart in the back. And if I would have thought before I started recording this episode, I would have brought the medal up here too. But instead, I'm going to put a picture of the medal right here. And the medal looks just like the sweatshirt. And I wish if the race directors could listen to this part. I love it. And I think lots of people love it. when we have medals for these 5Ks. They're not participation medals. They are finisher medals, by the way. I heard somebody call it a participation medal. It is not a participation medal. It is a finisher medal. And let me tell you, this race sold out. So there's something to be said for medals. I know I'm a medal whore myself, and I will go and travel to do a race specifically because the medal is fantastic. So I put that out there. All right. So packet pickup was awesome. The sweatshirt was awesome. It fits a little tight, so I might actually have to go back and exchange and get a little bit of a bigger size for the sweatshirt, but the metal was fantastic too. We got there the morning of, and the weather was actually fantastic. For me, it was fantastic. I know some people, they thought that it was a little bit cool, but I love like a 50 degrees and cloudy, and that's pretty much exactly what it was 50 degrees and cloudy. And so it was a little cool when we were setting up the table, but you guys will not believe what I did. And this turned out so well. So I got like a bunch of these little kits, these like Valentine's Day, the little bracelets I got a bunch of these little kits to make bracelets. And oh my gosh, my table was covered up the whole time because people were making bracelets. And I got big beads for little kids and like pipe cleaners for little kids. But then I also got the bracelet making string and all that stuff so that folks can make bracelets. And so that actually went fantastically. And I think I'm going to be doing that for the other races that I'm going to cover. So stay tuned there. But the table setup was great. And then I wanted to give a special shout out to Jamie and AJ and Terry Porter, because they helped with the whole thing. As I was off talking to people and get my bib on and all that, and then doing the race, they helped staff the table and just keep people, answer questions and help folks with what they were trying to do. So special shout out and thank you to AJ and Jamie and to Terry Porter. All right. Thank you, guys. All right. So weather, I told you about the weather. It was perfect for me. I know some people thought it was a little cool. I put on a pair of gloves and it was fantastic. Humidity was fairly reasonable, especially considering we're in the middle of the South. And I can't remember exactly the percentage, but it wasn't that bad. So wonderful. Still loving this low humidity in Alabama. So for the course, we started and ended on Palmer Park, which I can't say that word still. It's fine. Can't wait till I don't have to say it anymore. Palmer Park Greenway, which is right there. Let's see. Is it Mills Road? I can't remember the name of the road. Anyway, you park right there. There's a big park, lots of ball fields and all that kind of stuff. And we stayed on the Greenway the whole time. Now, normally I'm like, I don't want to pay to run on a Greenway that I can normally. Well, in this case, it was fantastic though, because it is a fast, flat Greenway. There's barely one little rise in the whole thing. Otherwise, it's you and your feet and as fast as your little legs want to carry you. Speaking of as fast as your little legs can carry you, you all know that I'm going for 30, over 30 and under 30 this year. So my goal is to run a 5K in under 30 minutes. And I set a PR this time. It wasn't quite under 30 minutes. I wasn't going for that on this race, but it was still a PR. So all of the strength work and all of the runs that I've been doing with Josh Cornett over there at Return to Sport, as well as participating in the Fleet Feet Run Club, I think it's all working because I felt really good on this 5K. So, all right, the finish line. So Fleet Feet always does a great job on the finish line, great big finish line energy. They had photos provided by Greg Gelmas in the We Run Huntsville photos, who is always awesome. He takes the best running pictures in Huntsville. And not only that, he gets it up. I have no idea how he gets the pictures up so fast, but he gets them up so fast. Almost before I was home. I'm pretty sure. We went to have breakfast afterwards. Yeah, the photos were already up before we finished breakfast. And I was like, holy cow, Greg. Not only is he fast, but they're really, really good photos. Some of my favorite race pictures of all time were taken by Greg Gomez. So thank you, Greg. Also, so finish line energy was great. Big, blow up finish line, people handing medals. And then the finish line was lined with people cheering. This is what I love so much. I was watching as, people were crossing the finish line and they were greeted either by their partner or their husband or their wife or their mom or their dad. There were whole families that came out to cheer on runners, like shout out to Luke and his family, and shout out to Luke's mom, who's going to be doing her first 5K at the Race to Space. So that's why this energy and this heart in this community is so important, because just the support and the love and everything that you feel at that finish line and at that start line, there's nothing like it. There is just nothing like it. Also, I met these two hilarious guys. It was their first 5K, and apparently they drug a friend in there with them who was not super stoked about getting up that early in the morning on a Saturday morning. But I'm going to call them the sellouts, because when they stopped by my booth on packet pickup day, we were talking about how this race had sold out, and they were like, yeah, we're the sellouts. And I was like, oh my gosh, you have 100% got to stop by the booth tomorrow and make a bracelet with the letters called sellout. And they did actually put the beads aside for them, and they 100% ran with a bracelet on that said sellout. How cool was that? Anyway, shout out to the sellouts. Okay, so what was great about this finish line also, it was that after the race, people stuck around. They didn't just say, okay, bye, and then left. They all stuck around. There was a huge table of sweets, like the Valentine's Day sweets sponsored by Publix. And then, even after the age group awards and the overall awards were given out, people were still, standing around chatting. It took hours before people left. I was like, oh my gosh, we just stand out here all day talking and chatting and catching up with each other. And it was just wonderful. Everybody left with some candy. Everybody left with a medal and probably some dopamine too, and probably a new friend or two as well. So here's the thing. When I step back and look at all of it, the treadmill thoughts about all of the things that we are different, but we have in common, Galentine's night and how we're all healing from something, and the Love to Run 5K. These, in my head, were not three separate events. They were the same lesson in three different settings. At the gym, I realized that everybody is carrying something. And I don't just mean kettlebells. I realize that everyone is carrying something. Every single person adjusting their shirt, avoiding eye contact, flirting nervously with the girl next to them on the treadmill, walking beside their mom, realizing that maybe they're running out of time. They've all got something sitting on their heart. At Swift Recovery, I saw that we're not just carrying things, we're healing from things. Physically, emotionally, spiritually, recovery isn't indulgent, it's necessary, y'all. Slowing down isn't weakness, it's wisdom. And then at the 5K, all came together. A starting line full of stories. People chasing PRs, people chasing peace, people chasing proof that they can still do hard things, even though they're not in the earlier years of their life. A finish line full of medals, yes, even for a 5K. And something else you can't just hang around your neck, and that's connection. The race wasn't just 3.1 miles. It was courage, it was community, it was family. It was a bunch of humans carrying invisible loads and choosing to move with them anyway. And here's what I want you to take away with you this week. Give yourself more grace. Let your heart be a little lighter. And realize that all of those people around you on the machines, on the run, on the greenways, on the rucks, you're not the only one struggling. You're not the only one rebuilding. You're not the only one doubting yourself and if you can achieve the goals that you so ridiculously set at the beginning of this year. Whether you're in the middle of mile 2 or in life chapter 47, everyone is carrying something. So when you show up on your run this week, whether it's outside, treadmill, or in a race, like the dueling banjos that are coming up, or just walk around the block, remember this: you're not just logging miles, you're processing, you're healing. Your heart is getting a little lighter. Hopefully your loads are getting a little lighter. You're working through, cover your ears, littles. You're working through some real shit, and you got to give yourself some space to do that. And then understand that the folks next to you at the starting line, next to you on the rock, next to you in the weighted vest walks, they're all going through some stuff too. So my challenge to you is, as we step into another week of training, as we step into another week of chasing our goals for 2026, try to choose kindness. Just one more time, just one more person, just one more interaction. Choose encouragement. And maybe this world that seems to be burning absolutely down around us can provide us a little bit of solace in one another, a little bit of warmth, and a little bit of comfort to help lighten the load on our hearts. This week, let's be the kind of runners who move with compassion for ourselves and for everyone else out there too. Let's keep lacing up. Let's keep showing up. But then remember that, just like Troy Bolton said, we're all in this together. We might as well make it a little kinder, a little nicer, a little lighter, and a little more human. I challenge you to introduce yourself to someone new at a run club this week, and reach out to a new runner and welcome them to the fold. With that, let's talk about some upcoming races so that you can take that opportunity to introduce yourself to a new runner and maybe help lighten the load on someone else's heart. Okay, upcoming races. We've got the Paper Chase 5K on February 28th. We've got the Dueling Banjos on March 1st, which, by the way, I'm trying to get them actual banjo players with Fitness 300. So fingers crossed, maybe we'll have actual dueling banjos at the top. Also on March 1st, we've got the UAH Spring Road Race. And if you're interested, if you do the Dueling Banjos 5K, the 10K, and then do the UAH Spring Road Race 8K in the afternoon, you get a special challenge coffee mug. And I don't think a lot of folks are going to be doing that one, but the ones that do will certainly have some bragging rights. And then always remember, on March 6th through the 8th, we've got the Crazies Trifecta that's coming up. And that's that race over in Mentone, Rainsville, and Fort Payne area where you run 3 half marathons over 3 days. And so far, they have the most signups that they've ever had. So I am extremely excited that I have been working with the Molten Mohawk Niner that's coming up this coming weekend. Worked with Love to Run 5K, and both of those races have sold out. So I'm really hoping that you guys would be just crazy enough to go join me on March 6th through the 8th for the Crazies Trifecta and help sell that event out as well. Next week, we continue our Heart Healthy series with a discussion with Josh and Dylan from Return to Sport. If you've ever wondered what VO2 max actually is, or what heart rate variability is, and how you can check yours, that is the episode that you need to listen to, because I can't wait to learn about it, because I don't understand jack. You know what I mean. I don't understand anything about it. And so I am going to go do the VO2 max test, and just here in a little while, a little bit nervous about that. But that's okay. Do it scared. That's my motto, right? So we're going to go do that, talk to them about heart rate variability and what VO2 max is, and hopefully come out a little bit more knowledgeable about our hearts on the other side. As always, y'all, if you are enjoying my content, if you are enjoying these episodes, if you're learning something, taking something away, and thought, wow, that's really cool, do me a favor. The best way you can help me is to download this episode and share it with a friend. And maybe share it with somebody that you can help lighten the load on their heart. And it costs you absolutely $0 to do so. As always, y'all go out there, check out Behind the Bib Podcast on Instagram, Behind the Bib on Facebook, Behind the Bib Podcast on YouTube. That's where I post all of my codes for upcoming races and ambassador links. And with that, thanks for being here. Let's keep showing up for one another, whether you're first, whether you're last, or somewhere in between. I'll see you next time. We're Behind the Bib. Y'all take care. Bye-bye.